Hi, so in this short video, I will be going over IGCSE Marine Science 2.5 in the 24-25 syllabus, and I'm using the Cambridge Marine Science textbook here, and of course the syllabus. And as always, these videos here are made for my classes, but if anyone can use them, they're more than welcome, and any mistakes here, and mine alone. Now, as anyone who ever tried diving, and if you haven't, you should, know you don't have to dive very deep before the color starts to change. And this is because light will get absorbed and refracted by water. So as we go deeper, there'll be less and less light, and some wavelength will be absorbed before others, but that is beyond the range of this syllabus. Almost all light is absorbed within the first 200 meters in a clear ocean. Of course, if there is a lot of sediment, a lot of sand, a lot of mud in the water, it will be absorbed way earlier. I think we've all seen those lakes where you can only see down a few meters due to sedimentation. So the upper first 200 meters is what we call the sunlight zone. Below that, there is so little light that there'll be no meaningful photosynthesis. Some animals will still have enough light to see and to hunt, and this is what we call the twilight zone, down to around 1,000 meters. Below that, we are now in the midnight zone, when there is no light, and if there is any light, it's the animals, plants, and algae themselves who do bioluminescence. Sorry for that. And I do apologize for my bad voice. I have a bit of a cold. So, when we're down in the midnight zone, if anyone has seen Finding Nemo, and please do, in marine science, that is one of the best movies ever, you will see that Nemo's father and Dory, they meet an anglerfish. And bioluminescence, where the animals themselves produce light, either to hunt or to attract a mate, is important once we get deep enough in the ocean. Another thing that changes when we go deeper is the temperature. Again, the gradient of change, of course, depends on where we are. If we are in the North Atlantic, the surface water will already be quite cold, so the change as we go deeper won't be that big. But if we are in warmer water, we will have the warm, light water at the top, and then as we go deeper, the colder, denser water will be further down. This gives rise to this layer between the top water, which is warm, and the low water, which is cold, which we call the thermocline. The thermocline is where we see the rapid change in temperature. And for many animals, this is a real thing. They have to go up and down through this. It even matters a whole lot to things like submarines, where the thermocline is. And when we have a very, very hard thermocline, warm water, cold water, there'll be less mixing. So we have fewer nutrients coming up from below, which of course also will affect the primary productivity of the algae and the other autotrophs living in the top layer. Again, as anyone who's done any diving, and again, if you haven't, please do so, either with, scuba gear or free diving, you know that you don't have to dive very deep to feel the effect of pressure. Going just down 30 meters, the pressure will be 3 bars. So as anything dives deeper into the ocean, the pressure will increase more and more. So much that if we are at the bottom of the abyssal plain, like 4 kilometers down, the pressure is enormous. The animals who live down there are adapted to it, but if you took like a human put down there, the pressure would totally kill them. So the pressure here is real, and it's again one of those invisible borders in the ocean that we can't see, but is really real to the animals who live there. Oxygen concentration also changes as we go down. It's no surprise in the top layer, where we have the mixing with the atmosphere, we also have the sunlight, and because of that, the photosynthesis, we will tend to have a high concentration of oxygen. But As we go lower, that concentration will fall, not only because photosynthesis is less, but also because there be other organisms using the oxygen, which means that if we see a curve for this, we'll see what we call the oxygen minimum layer. This is where we have the lowest concentration of oxygen, and that is usually somewhere between 200 to 500 meters down to about 1,000. As we then go lower, oxygen's concentration tends to go up again a little bit, and one of the reasons is temperature, because as the water gets colder, it can hold more oxygen. So, in summary, if we were to imagine we were a sperm whale and we were to dive down, we are swimming somewhere in the Atlantic and we were to do a deep dive to hunt some squids, what will happen? Well, as we go deeper, there'll be less light. If we go deep enough, we'll go into the twilight zone. Temperature would drop quite rapidly once we get into the thermocline. Pressure would increase. Salinity will also increase as salt water is denser and it will sink towards the bottom. Dissolved oxygen is not super important if you're a sperm whale, but anyway, it will drop as we hit the minimum oxygen layer, and then if we dive deep enough, it will start rising again. So these are just to give you an idea of what will happen, and these are very important things to all the animals living there. These invisible borders of pressure, of salinity, of temperature, of light, they are all there as these kind of invisible walls in the ocean, but they have a huge effect of any life forms there. So, again, I always recommend that you read the chapter as well, but these were my quick notes for this chapter.